Finally, you can synthesize them from amides. Going back to last movie, acyl chloride, acid chloride here, very reactive if you remember. We talked about reacting that up with ammonia and you would make a primary amide. So that's where the NH2 goes to a carbon that has the double bond O. We can reduce amides quite easily. Again, using now, going back to our lithal in ether, followed by water to quench it, to make that primary amine. Okay, so we can take our acid chloride, which we can make for all kinds of ways, carboxylic acids and so on being the best way, react it up with ammonia to make a primary amide. And I talked about that in the last module. I also mentioned that you can make secondary and tertiary amides. So if I was to take my acid chloride, but instead of reacting it with ammonia, I react it with a primary amine. Well, now I get the same kind of thing. There's the RC double bond O, RC double bond O, going to NH2 here, going to NH with that R prime there. Okay, and remember what effectively the product we get here is we lose the Cl and we lose an H. So we're left with the nitrogen still with one hydrogen on it and an R prime. Or I can react up my acid chloride with a secondary amine. So R prime, R double prime N. Again, lose the H, lose the Cl, and I now have a tertiary amide, the nitrogen with those two R groups on it. Now, whichever type of amide I have, primary from ammonia, secondary from reaction with the primary amine, or tertiary amide from a reaction with a secondary amine, I can reduce all of those quite happily with that lithal to make the primary amine by reducing the primary amide, to make the secondary amine by reducing the secondary amide, or the tertiary amine by reducing the tertiary amide. Okay, now it might seem a little bit sort of silly to say, well, here I'm already using an amine, so I react an amine to make another amine. But you see, I can turn a primary amine into a secondary amine, introduce these other R groups. So there's, instead of having just the R prime from my secondary amine, I've introduced another big RCH2 group to give me my secondary amine. Or I can turn a secondary amine into a tertiary amine. Remember, one of the big tricks with organic synthesis is making extra carbon-carbon bonds, bringing extra carbon-containing groups into the molecule, and this can often be a nice way to expand out the organic skeleton. Take an amine of some sort, react it up with an acid chloride, and you get a bigger carbon skeleton of the